I'm Goud, and you are listening to the Goud Crowd. We are live on X at my X handle. You can also listen at KMMU.org, and you can listen at Utah Mainstream Media, their YouTube channel. So it's great to be back today. We're going to do a little bit of an abbreviated show just because I have some other stuff going on, so I can't be on for 2 hours. And because I've been working on that other stuff, I'm a little bit tired. So I don't want to be like boring for y'all. Okay, let's start off. So first of all, I just wanted to tell you guys, I think at 5:20, we should have Corinne Johnson calling in to talk about the Capitol tour. Let me share my screen with you. If you haven't been before, or even if you have, I recommend that you go. It's a great way to meet your legislators, and for those of you who don't know them, to be able to talk to them, get to know them a little bit, get a tour of the Capitol. You'll probably learn some cool stuff about history. Like Utah actually has one of the biggest Capitol buildings in the country, I think, for a state capitol. Yeah, I learned that last year. So anyway, it's Monday, January 13th, and it's free. So like I said, I just recommend that everybody go if you can. And I don't really think it matters what party you're in. So, I mean, it's for everybody. And so I again, like I said, I've actually gotten to meet legislators. You can ask questions. You'll be in groups. And if you have like people that you actually want to go with, you should sign up to go with your group. And then you can ask your legislators questions. You can ask the attorney general questions, I think, or at least someone on his staff. Last year, I think his chief of staff was there. But since they're new this year, like your attorney general and the auditor, they might actually be there in person, so you can ask them questions. Anyway, highly recommended. Corinne will come on, I think, at 5:20, and then she can tell us more about it. So I'll stop sharing that for a moment. Now, let me show you a photo. We'll do a little bit of fun stuff. I also want to kind of delve back into our immigration discussion from last week. It seems relevant too, because now the legislature sounds like they're going to try to address some illegal immigration issues, although because they are, it's Utah and they're always politically correct, they call them undocumented immigrants. That is an incorrect statement. It's like using someone's preferred pronouns, right? They have documents. They just don't have any that show that they're legally here. So they are illegal aliens. That's the correct term. Unfortunately, though, we don't have the type of culture that'll allow the use of terms like that. I want to show you this picture. The lieutenant governor posted this, and I have a question, and maybe someone can answer it for me. This isn't showing up. Hold up. Here we go. Okay, so this is a picture of her staff taking their oath of office today. To be honest with you, I was kind of surprised by this because I've worked in the federal government before, and we didn't have to retake our oath every time there was a new administration or anything like that. Like you took an oath when you started, and that was it. Same thing with the Army. I took an oath when I joined, and I can't think of another time I've taken an oath. So it's kind of interesting. I know a couple of these people. I know a lot of the comments were very negative about them. And I'll just say some of them, I don't know everybody that's in the picture. And you may not agree with all their decisions, but there's a couple of people here that are actually very knowledgeable about how our elections are run and election issues. And I guarantee you will not agree with them on everything they say, but they're valuable resources, and they're Republicans. It's just that they're part of the system, and they're ensconced in it, so they see it differently than everyday people like you and me. But my question is, who do you think this person is administering the oath? I think this could be Democrat Lanny Chapman, the Salt Lake County clerk. I'm not sure, but it kind of looks like her. And I do wonder why a Republican, if it's Lanny, why a Republican would have a Democrat come and give the oath for them. Perhaps it's because Lieutenant Governor Henderson is really a Democrat. I know not all of you agree with me on that, but I think she is a Democrat. So okay. So and then I got a little bit of a rumor here for you. So I live in Riverton. I think I've told you that before. I'm in Congressional District 4, and so that is Burgess Owens is my representative. Interestingly, he actually does not live in the district. He lives, I think, just outside, maybe in CD3, and that's actually come up in some of these races before. Like people run against him, and then they say, "Well, we need someone in the district," versus having someone that lives outside of it. I think there's some merit to the argument, but because it does seem weird that we can't get a congressman who actually lives in our congressional district. There's whatever, I don't know, 800,000 people that live in it. You would think one of them could run and be a representative, or that Burgess Owens could move to the district. Having said that, he ran for the chair of the Education and Workforce Committee, but he lost to Representative Tim Walberg. He's 73 years old, so not a spring chicken. And I can't really think of any accomplishments he's had in Congress. Every once in a while, there's a viral video of him saying, I guess something about racism or DEI. But in terms of actual legislative accomplishments, I haven't really seen anything. And there are now rumors that he was waiting to see whether he could win that chairmanship to decide if he will retire and not serve in Congress anymore. So I think there is a possibility here that he may retire and not run for re-election in 2026. And that means that Candace Perucci will be running for that seat. Now, she may try to deny it, but it's an open secret that her number one dream is to get into Congress. Now, one of the benefits of that is that she won't be in Utah anymore. So, and if you've actually, so I think she's got that kind of passive aggressive quality that I find this a decent amount in Utah. There's a lot of people that are in politics that are very passive aggressive. It's weird. She's one of those. I've seen her actually show up at events and then run over to Dan McKay, and they just start gossiping. And so if you overhear them, they say the nastiest things about people. It's really unpleasant. She may fit in really well in DC. I don't know. Or they might not like that kind of a style there, and they'll just ignore her as they ignore Burgess Owens. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, that's going to be one to look for, is if he retires, she is his hand-picked successor. That's who he wants to be next. Dan McKay has, I think, said on X once, he said he would run for it. I don't think he's going to run for it. I don't think he would win. I don't think he would win because actually he can be very nasty to constituents. And it's happened more than once. I actually saw it happen once where a constituent brought up the fact that he had changed our flag. And she said it was not popular what he did, that most people wanted the flag to change. And he just ripped her a new one in a town hall. It was so bad that another constituent got up and was like, that was completely uncalled for and inappropriate, and you should apologize. And he actually did. So someone actually sent me the recording, and I've gone back and forth with him about this on X. And it turns out that he has actually said that he's been nasty to constituents more than once. So I would think that if he runs against Candace in that race, that will be an issue. She's more passive aggressive, so she does her kind of gossiping and stuff behind, quietly. He's more out there. So, but I guess you never know. Yeah, it's just something to keep out for. Maybe that could be some potential excitement in CD4. Okay, now let's turn to this tweet I saw by Elon Musk. I want to kind of turn a little bit to this immigration debate that's going on right now. And let me just start by saying this. I think that before you decide how many people you want to let into your country, you have to decide what is the purpose of a nation in the first place. And I think that we don't have a good sense of that right now. There are a lot of people who seem to think the purpose of the US is to be a jobs program for the entire world. And that if that means that our own people don't have jobs or they're competing against foreigners, that's just how it has to be. And you see this on every person that immigrates here is going to end up competing with American workers. And this seems to be one of the few countries in the world where Americans are being told that we have to compete with foreigners for jobs. And it's only certain jobs, by the way. So just keep in mind, I'm a lawyer. And so to practice law in Utah, you have to be barred by the Utah bar. And I think that you have to be here legally to be barred. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that that is the case. And I only think that because California actually made a special rule to allow dreamers to practice law in their state. And so, so if you hear a lawyer saying that they support open borders, well, yeah, it's easy to say if you never have to compete for a job, right? Like my job, I will never compete with a foreigner for a job. No one's going to come here and immediately become a lawyer and start taking cases or whatever. It's just not going to happen. So it would be easy for me to say, let's bring them all in. Let's bring in millions of immigrants, legal and illegal. I could get my lawn mowed cheaper if we did that. But that's not my style. I would prefer that we actually make it so that Americans of all capabilities are getting preferences for jobs and are able to live a good lifestyle, regardless of what that job is. And I'll just give you an example. I had a back and forth on X with a guy. And one of the things he said to me was, who do you think is going to mow the lawns if we don't have illegals? And who wants to mow a lawn for $16 or $17 an hour? Well, fair point. He's correct. I do not think most Americans want to mow a lawn for $16 or $17 an hour. In fact, I pay one of my neighbor's kids $50 a mow to mow my lawn. I have a 1/4 acre lot, and it takes him about an hour to do it. So this is a high school kid. So he's making $50 an hour to mow my lawn. He does it when it's hot out. So he'll come over when it's 90 or 100. He'll be out there, sweating away and mowing the lawn. And I guess I understand. I actually think that guy was right. People don't want to do that for $16 to $17 an hour. That's not worth it. But for $50 an hour, it is. And that's probably what a job like that should be paid. I think a lot of times people think that because it's manual labor, people should have to be paid less to do those jobs, or they should just have to compete with whoever comes here for any reason whatsoever. And I think that's looking at this all wrong. In immigration in general, what you have to think about, or let me step back. What you have to think about for jobs is when somebody says to you in an immigration debate, who's going to do that job for this low wage I want to pay? So it'll be, who wants to mow a lawn for $16 to $17 an hour? Yeah, right. Nobody, because guess what? You could go to Starbucks and make more than that, and it's more comfortable. Who's going to pick strawberries for $10 an hour? Well, yeah, nobody. I get that. Like that's hard work. So you have to pay more for that job. Again, because you could pick strawberries or go work at McDonald's for $20 an hour in the air conditioning, making good quality food that everybody loves. Personally, I love some McDonald's. So, of course, Americans aren't going to pick strawberries for $10 an hour. They don't want to mow lawns for $16 or $17 an hour. The answer is not to import people to do those jobs. The answer is to pay more for those jobs. They are worth more than what we are currently paying. And a lot of times the people that are the biggest promoters of open borders never have to compete in those industries. So government workers, lawyers, doctors, these kind of professions, or any profession where they're checking to make sure that people are here legally, they're not competing for those manual labor jobs. So I hope that people will start to see this. Like, you actually have to start thinking about what are these jobs actually worth? And I would argue that they're worth more. And I want the person who works at a gas station, who works at McDonald's, who mows lawns for a living, I want those people to have a good, solid, I'd like them to have a middle-class lifestyle. Every job is valuable. And people should be able to do these jobs and make a living and be able to have a nice life. And I think we've taken that away from so many people because there's this attitude that America is a jobs program for the world. Now, you have that piece of it. The other piece of it that has recently come to light is the H-1B visa program, but it's not just the H-1B visa program. It is all of these temporary visa programs. All of these are nothing but ways to import workers into the United States, right? Oh, hold on. I don't know this. My producer says that he will be here today. Maybe he's here. Are you here? Okay. Anyway, so the H-1B visa debate really blew up. And so I'm pretty familiar with this because I know a lot of people that have used the H-1B visa program to come here, and then have kind of gotten promoted or have ensconced themselves in the system, and then started to import friends and family also on H-1B visas. And what they do is, when those people come here, they train them on how to do the work. It is not what they try to sell this as is it's this, this genius talent. They mostly come from India, and and like, without that talent, we couldn't grow and we couldn't create all these great products. But the reality is that the H-1B visa program is really just a way to import low-wage, compliant labor into Silicon Valley and into companies across the country to do tech jobs. Because I think most tech work is not it's not high fun. Like, it doesn't require lots of creativity and lots of I'm trying to think of the word here. It doesn't like lots of creativity or lots of kind of unique new work. Most of it is doing stuff to fix things, or it's stuff that anyone can be trained to do. And the reality is, and this is unfortunate, there's a lot of first of all, let me back this up. There are two of the biggest I hate America zones in America are Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C. Okay. I lived in DC for 16 years. I can just tell you that most of the people that live there hate your guts, and they mock you. They think you're stupid. One of the reasons they think you're stupid is that you send trillions of dollars of tax money to the federal government. The people in DC take their cut, so they're taking like 20%. They spend all the money there. And so something like 5 of the 7 wealthiest counties are around Washington, D.C. These people have wonderful lives. A lot of them work for the federal government or federal contractors. They never have a recession. They don't even know what it's like to be in the private sector. And so they hate you. When I say they hate you, I mean they hate your guts. And this is why I don't have a lot of faith that DC can be reformed in any significant way at all. I'm hopeful that Trump can reform it, but the reality is unless you have to fire so many federal workers, because the I hate America feeling out there is pretty strong. Okay, now the second biggest one is Silicon Valley. Very much an I hate America zone. And so they see us as people that they can make you addicted to their products, and there's no ramifications. They can use their products to change how you think. And because of Facebook, X, even though Elon owns it, Instagram, Google, all of things have algorithms that are aimed at changing how you think about issues. They are aimed at turning people into Democrats. That is the reality of it. X maybe not so much, but maybe, I don't know, maybe things have changed with X, but with the other ones. And so they don't feel they've gotten all these benefits from being in the US, because the reality is Google, Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft, I guess Microsoft's up in Seattle, but still, trust me, part of the I Hate America crowd. They are only successful because they are here, and they have stable governments, legal protections, lower taxes than you would get elsewhere, better regulatory environments. Those companies could not have been created in other places in the world, including in India. And so, but they don't feel like they have any obligation to turn around and to try to train Americans to do the jobs that they claim that they need, right? And so you see this where in the H-1B visa debate, they're saying that they have to import workers in order to fill these jobs because Americans don't have the skills that they need. Well, I just don't think that that's true, because, as I said, I've known many people who have come here on an H-1B visa, and they learn how to do the job on the job. They didn't even know what they were doing before they got here. Because what's happened in India is, India, my family's from there. It is the scam capital of the world, of the whole world, really. They've set up all of these fake universities and giving people fake credentials that they think they can then use to game the H-1B visa system, because people are smart enough to go and do that because they want to come here. So what we're really getting is a bunch of scam artists who show up here, and then they're not even really assimilating into our culture or into our country. And you see this on X, where there are tons and tons of Indians who immigrate here, and then for some bizarre reason are obsessed with bringing everybody from India into the US. And the thing is like, it's not just a pay issue. Again, I'm talking about this from the Indian perspective because there's so many, because they tend to dominate the H-1B program. It's just that it's a compliant culture. You're not going to see Indians generally standing up against vaccine mandates or things like that. They're more likely to just go along to get along, which I think maybe a lot of Utahns would feel they'd be able to relate to that. But it's not a culture that encourages people to stand up for your rights. It's not a culture that actually believes in, for example, gun rights at all. Most of the Indians I know think our guns should be taken away. I'm not really sure that it's a culture that promotes free speech, for example. And so I would just say to people, I'm not really sure. But I guess what I would say is I think it's a combination of those two things is why they bring in someone H-1B visas. Now, let me see here. So let me pull up this Elon tweet that I think this kind of worries me a little bit. Here we go. Oh, I'm getting a call. Hold on. Hello? Yeah. Hey, Karen. It's okay. Are you ready? Okay, let me put you on speaker, okay? Okay. Hey, Corinne, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I told people that the Capitol tour is happening on Monday. Can you tell people what to expect and maybe why they would want to go?
Absolutely. So this is our 4th year doing the Capitol tour, and we do it every year for individuals to come up and engage in the legislative process and learn about what goes on at the Capitol. But the really cool part, or what we like about it, is that we allow people to meet and talk with and ask questions to every branch of government, all in one night, all at the same time. So you get to meet our new Attorney General, Derek Brown, talk to new Auditor Tina Cannon. We'll have Mike Maurer, representative from the governor's office there, and Marlo Oakes from the treasurer's office, all there to talk about what they do. Also do a Q&A. And so it's a really great time to ask questions and engage with them. And then we allow you guys to have about 25 minutes this year. We've extended the time on the Senate floor. And so President Adams will be there, and you'll get to listen to him talk about what his goals are for the session, but also have about 10 minutes of Q&A time with President Adams, again, to ask your questions, to see what the priorities are, to understand how what you feel is important that the legislature should be looking at and what the Senate should be working on. You can voice that directly to President Adams during this time and have that wonderful opportunity. And then we also have about 25 minutes on the House floor with Speaker Mike Schultz, where he'll also share his priorities for the session and answer a Q&A and be engaged. And so that is a tremendous opportunity. I don't think there's any other tour or any other group that gets everyone together in one place, one night, with that type of an opportunity. Another really fun thing we're doing this year, Goud, is that we've added an additional little stop on our tour where you're actually going to get to talk with Utah Parents United. So we realized that over years of doing our tour that we're there running around like crazy, and people come to ask us questions and to ask us what we're working on for the session, and we're never available because so this year we decided to make ourselves part of the tour. So one of the stops will be meeting with us, and we'll be sharing about 5 bills that we're going to be working on this year, and the bill sponsors will be there. So Candace Prucci will be there to talk about school choice, and Jordan Tesher will be there to talk about the UEA and what we can do to deal with UEA and unions in the state of Utah. And we'll have my brain's not working on my list. Oh, Stephanie Gricius is coming to talk about getting fluoride out of the water and mental health in schools. And then we'll also be talking about the App Store Accountability Act with Jim Dunnigan and Melissa McKay, who's working on the Mike Lee bill that Mike Lee is running federally. We're running in Utah. So they'll be there to talk about that legislation. So you'll get to talk with us, ask us questions, and then hear about all these great bills that we're running this session and find out how you can get involved. So it's a really fun tour this year. The adult tour has all of these benefits, and that one, it starts at 6:30. And then we also have a family tour. We just went all out. We decided, let's just go for it. And so we also have a family tour this year. So if you've come as an adult and have loved it, you want to bring your kids, because we hear that all the time. Oh, this was so amazing. We love this. I'd love to bring my kids. But it's a long tour, and it's late at night. So we decided to do a family tour. So you can come at 5:30. There's 2 tour times, 5:30 at 6. And it's a shortened tour. It's abbreviated, so not as much Q&A. It'll be geared more towards how does a bill become a law, and what does every branch of government do? And we have little activity books for your kids, and they'll also get to come and tour the Capitol and get engaged civically and understand what's happening in the session and why it's so important for us to be involved in the legislative process here in the state. So you can sign up for those tours. We have a few spots in the 5:30 and some spots in the 6 o'clock. But all three tours, all the tours are fantastic. And we have lots of openings this year. So go register, and it's all free, by the way. We do all of it for free because we feel so passionate about getting parents and children and families and community members engaged in the legislative process here in the state. So there's a ton of reasons to come join us.
Okay. Did a couple of things here. I guess, where do people sign up? And then also, I think you had said something about being able to sign up to go with a group or something like that. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So you go to utahparentsunited.org and you register, and just if you're registering for the family tour, make sure you put in how many people are coming in your family. And if you're registering for the adult tour, then just how many tickets you're getting for that. And again, it's free. Register. And then we will divide into groups for the tour group. So we have some specific links. So we have some co-sponsors that always sponsor our tour with us every year. Moms for America is sponsoring the family tour. We're so thrilled that they're joining us and sponsoring the family tour this year. And so they have a link And then Path Forward Utah is a sponsor every year, and there's a specific link. So if you want to be in the Path Forward Utah group, you'll get put with the other Path Forward Utah members in that group, and you can go to their Facebook to find their link. And then we also have a group for with Jen Brown for Citizens for the Constitution, also has a group with a special link. So these are groups that co-sponsor with us, and you can be put in a group. If not, we'll just assign you to a group. And you can also change if you want to be in a different group. Like, we're really flexible with that. Like, if you come with a group of friends, you want to be in the same group, you can be the same group. It's not a big deal. But we have about four groups in the adult tour, and you get put in your group. But we like to have people register so that we know what groups to put you in advance. So that's why we like to do registration. But if you forget and you don't have time to register, just show up, come on up. We'll throw you in a group. It's great to have everybody there. So just, join us at the Capitol on Monday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And thanks for organizing that.
Well, you're very welcome. We love what we do, and we're grateful to get to share our passion with everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sam.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, doesn't that sound exciting? But like I said before, I've gone the last couple of years, and it is a fantastic tour. You will get to meet a lot of the legislators. It is a long tour. I want to say it's a couple hours, but you'll get to talk to people. You'll probably meet cool people too that you haven't. Maybe you met. Well, if you're me, you probably met them before. If you're newer, you'll meet a lot of really cool people that maybe you haven't met before. So I highly recommend it. Go to utahparentsunited.org and sign up. And let's see y'all get there. I will say it's going to start while the Goud crowd is going on, so that's a little bit sad. I have to think about how I'm going to do this, because maybe I'll do an abbreviated show next week as well, so that I can go on the tour myself. Because that's, like I said, it's a really fun tour. It's a good time. Okay, let's see here. Now what I was going to show you guys. Oh, okay. So I saw this. This actually, I think someone else actually, I believe Disagree Butter actually is the one who altered this document or circled it. So, one thing that came out this week is that America First Legal sent a letter to Utah basically saying we're a sanctuary state. And I think most of you already knew that, because, we have things like driver's licenses for illegal aliens. They changed the law about misdemeanors, so making the maximum for a misdemeanor 364 days maximum jail time versus 365. They did this, I can't remember what year it was, but it was before 2020. And they did it so that if illegals or legal immigrants got convicted of a misdemeanor, they would not be deported. Well, it looks like maybe there's some changes in store that will happen this year. So I will say this, it's Utah. And so I'm not expecting us to go from basically a sanctuary state into, Florida or something, but there's some good moves here. I will just say this though, the foreign wire transfer fee, I'd like to look at the details on this, because if you look at it, she says, it's Representative Grisha, so she's down in Eagle Mountain. She says, impose a 2% fee on international wire transfers that's reimbursable for tax filers or waived for people who present a valid state ID. Here's the thing. It's actually my view that if you are an illegal, that you should not be able to wire transfer money back to your home country. Part of the way to stop people from coming here illegally is to shut off their ability to make a living and their ability to send money home. Now, if you're going to do a fee, right? Oh, I hear noise. Okay. I don't know what that was. If you're going to do a fee, maybe that's okay. But to say you're going to do a fee that's waived for people who present a valid state ID, the problem is we give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. So as long as it's not a driver's privilege card, this could work. But if it would allow people who are here illegally to get a refund on their fee, then that's not actually helpful. So we'll have to see that bill when it is released and see how it shakes out. Because like I said, again, you really want this to stop. We should be cutting off every avenue for illegal aliens to make money and to live here. So on the one above this, there's the property rights initiative. And this says to protect property rights by involving law enforcement earlier to remove squatters. That's great. It's a good thing, I guess. But I would actually go further and say, I don't think illegal aliens should be able to rent homes or buy them. And again, that's a way to get them to leave. That's the goal. Like, if you are here illegally, you should go home and go fix your home country. Like that's the answer. I think a lot of people seem to think that everybody that comes here is coming here because they're being persecuted in their home country. That's not actually what's going on. Most people that come here, the vast majority, are just coming here because they want a better economic life. I understand that, but there is something to be said for you should stay in your home country and fix it. The English language learners one by Representative Perucci is kind of interesting because she says allow schools who see significant increases in the number of English language learners. This is a big issue where I live. Big. Okay. To access to emergency funds to help them train additional English language learner teachers until they receive a WPU enhancement. So like an increase in the per pupil dollar amount they get from the state. Okay, I guess, again, but now you're accepting the problem, right? You're saying, okay, we're okay with you flooding our schools full of foreigners because most, when with an open border and all of these illegals coming in and bringing their illegal alien children, those children are being put into our schools and flooding them and burdening our school system because they can't speak English. And then that takes away from our ability to educate American kids. And again, this is my whole problem with this. I don't know what the answer is here. I actually think we shouldn't allow illegal alien kids to go to our public schools unless they pay. Because again, if you allow them to come here and participate 100% in every aspect of life as if they're legal, why wouldn't everybody come? We are the world's richest country. Of course they're going to come. And the thing is that we've made it very clear we give no regard to our own citizens. And it's not, these foreigners, these illegals aren't coming here because they're going to join our military and fight for the country. I wouldn't even want them to do that because, again, you are not an American. You're not going to be loyal to our nation, right? You're loyal to a foreign country. Now, maybe some of you will argue that that's not true, but I would say unless you're a citizen, I wouldn't assume that you're loyal to my country. Now, and this is what is so offensive about all of the immigration talk is, again, the basis of it is the idea that Americans should have to compete with foreigners for opportunities in our own country. We are also the ones that are asked to go. Some of us, let me make clear, not all of us, are asked to go and to fight to keep our country free, to fight to keep our allies free, and then to also go fight random wars because we have a massive war machine in this country. You can ask Andy Perucci about that. And so you're going to have this, but then you're telling people that when they come back, they have to compete with foreigners for jobs. And that if you think that that's a bad thing, you're suddenly racist. And I have real problems with that. So now, what I wanted to do last week was to get into this from the perspective of Utah companies, right? And so let me just show you some of these that I pulled up. I'm going to show you this as I'm scrolling through it because I don't put anything weird and private here. Before we do this, though, there's one other thing. Sorry. I had this tweet. So here. According to Elon Musk, oh, you guys can't see what I'm trying to show you. Hold on. Let me change my...
Goud, I'm here. I don't know why I had 6 o'clock on, but
Oh.
You have people call in because your lonely call screener is here.
Oh, I didn't know that. Welcome.
That was the beep you heard.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is that beep? Oh, will you change my number then? And then okay, I'm supposed to have. I know that someone is supposed to call in. I have to go out, get off at 6 today. I mean, oh, that sounded weird. I have to stop the show at 6. I've been saying some weird stuff lately. I'm just gonna tell you guys that some weird things, and I'll tell you a good story. It's totally random. Sorry, but I interviewed for a job recently, and they asked me about a situation where I had to deal with someone that was difficult. And so I was like, okay, let me think of, I'll rack my brain and think of something here. So I remembered that I used to work for a government agency, and I had a paralegal, and this paralegal was horrible. He was the worst. He was a horrible paralegal. It was so bad. And I think he had been there for a long time. He felt like he should be have an attorney job, and they wouldn't give him one. So I think some of it was just maybe some pent up being upset about his situation. Well, so the management asked me to help them either get him to improve or make it so that they could fire him. And in a government job, it's typically very hard to fire people. And so what happened is I'd give him work, and he'd give it back to me, and it would be like I said, draft these discovery requests, and they would come back and be full of typos, just typos everywhere, including he'd misspell my last name. And so, my last name is Maragani. It's Maragani. And he would spell it Maharani. And so in Hindi, Maharani means queen. And so I always wondered, like, is he just really clever and is making fun of me for being gay? Or is this the spell check? Anyway, I told that story in the job interview, so I'm not sure if that was the appropriate thing to do. Well, because then I told him I'm gay, because otherwise that joke makes no sense. Okay, so anyway, let's get X here. So according to Elon, and this happened after he lost the H-1B debate, because his whole view is that he's bringing in all these geniuses on these H-1B visas. So he said, new Twitter will strive to optimize unregretted user minutes. I have no idea what that means. Okay, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. To me, it sounds like Twitter or X is going to be full of dance videos on porn or something. And it's unfortunate because he's using terms that I don't feel like I understand, or maybe and I don't know that other people understand it. And so, and I think he's doing this because he's trying to now de-emphasize or make it less, so people are talking less about politics, specifically because immigration is the issue. There's no more important issue in politics right now than immigration. Because if you don't have control over your borders, and if you don't control who comes in, you will not have a country at the end of the day. So that one concerns me. Now let me switch to, not that. Okay, here we go. Okay, I guess let me switch my screen here. Okay, so what I wanted to show you guys, let's see, can you see? So this is, I thought for the H-1B discussion, what would be helpful is to actually look at local Utah companies and see if they're getting H-1B visas, right? So first, here's Ancestry. This one is kind of odd, so I apologize. But you can kind of see they've got senior software developer, senior software engineers, and this is what I want to say about this. I think that these salaries are extremely low. A senior software developer, they're saying they would pay them $147,589. I think that job is worth more than that. In fact, I think it's probably worth $200 to $250. I think this is way underpaying people. And as you go down the list, these all strike me as low. And generally, I just want to say this, I don't think salaries have kept up with inflation at all. Like, we're all getting paid way too little, considering how much the cost of living has gone up over the past 4 years. So in this Ancestry one is a good example. I think getting Americans to do a job like a senior software developer, you're going to have to pay $200 to $250 plus benefits. So you're talking like 250 to 300. Of course, it's cheaper to bring in an H-1B visa person to do it. Now, I don't know if they'll do as good of a job as your American trained of any race software developer, just to be clear. But they're going to be cheaper. And I think that's what drives a lot of this. Now, if you go to the next page here, I've got Zion's Bank, right? This is from this H-1B, what is it called? It's a data, oh, here it is, h1bdata.info. So anyone can go look this up. So this is public information. Here's Zion's Corp. And what I wanted to point out to you, I think, is this data analyst position, business information analyst. Here, let's look. Here we go. So they have a business information analyst making, and on here, the base salary is $110,000, right? So I went to their website and I looked up the job requirements for this position, or the skill requirements. So if you look at this, they want someone that's worked in a warehouse, the business intelligence environment. You have to have a systems analysis background, strong. I talked about this SQL thing last time, I think, right? But the point being, God, I feel like I'm being repetitive. But last week I got kind of thrown off my games because we got calls. But anyway, so here, the point being, I think they could train someone to do this job. There's no reason for them to have an H-1B come in and do this. And that is the point with all of these jobs. I think Americans need to start demanding that companies in the US are supposed to give Americans preference over foreigners. And, it's one thing, I guess, if you come here on a green card, we could treat you the same. Fine. But we should not be allowing all these different temporary visa programs and illegal aliens to come in and to compete with us for our jobs and for our livelihoods. I think that Americans must start being more demanding about this. And I think we have the right administration to do it. I've been a little bit disappointed by some of the rhetoric coming out of the Trump administration on this issue. And, I'm hopeful that it'll change. I think, unfortunately, he's like Elon Musk has a lot of good things about him, right? He bought X and gave us free speech, which we should have. But at the same time, he was silent he moved to San Francisco, I think, in 1995 to the Bay Area, and then proceeded to turn it into a shithole with all of his little tech friends, and then moved to Texas when it was beyond saving. So that's what his policies lead to. And that's because I don't think that he's really, he's worried about trying to go to Mars and then trying to do all these other things versus the need to actually just make, help human development on Earth. We haven't finished it yet. I mean, in the US itself, we're the world's richest country, and we have a poverty problem. We have a homeless problem. And so, I'm happy to have him focus on Mars, but I feel like from a policy perspective, we need to focus on people that are in our own country, on Earth, and help them actually be able to attain a middle-class life and to improve their lot in life, so they can, live long and happy and healthy lives. And I don't think we're there yet. And I'll just add this, on the H-1B visa piece of this, it's 60%. This was the poll. 60% of likely American voters don't think the U.S. needs more H-1B visa workers. So this is a popular issue for Americans, right? Stopping H-1B visas is actually popular, which is why I don't understand some of the rhetoric coming out of the Trump administration. I would think that out of any president during my lifetime, there really hasn't been someone that's more in tune with his grassroots supporters than President Trump. And this is the issue. This is the issue that caused the birth of the MAGA movement, I think, in 2015. It's the issue that's been driving, I think, a lot of problems in America in general. And if you want to see what happens when you have too many immigrants come in too short a period of time and then they don't assimilate, just go to California and see what that looks like. I mean, I was telling you guys last time about going to a fancy restaurant with my sister or her husband and their friends, and literally driving by a massive homeless encampment right outside the fancy restaurant. And nobody gave a second look to it. It was just a normal thing. Like, oh, whatever, homeless people. And you know where they act like that? That's how they act in India too. When people see homeless people, they just are like, yeah, homeless people, who cares? Oh, it looks like we're not going to get or it looks like my friend Charlene may not be able to call in today. She's going to give us a little update on some issues. It's too bad because she had some good stuff. Okay, so that's that. Let me see what else I got on here. Oh, here's the other one. Hold on. And that poll actually, so give you a little more detail, here's a little bit more detail on it. Share screen. Bam. So among Republicans, the poll shows that 72% say the U.S. has enough talented people who can be trained and recruited for such jobs. 63% of swing voters and a plurality, so 47% of Democrats. That's a winning issue. This is an issue that we should be on top of. And look, I think Trump has the ability or the potential to be probably the most transformative president of my lifetime. And but I think taking the wrong stance on immigration, will actually hurt that ability to be the most impactful president we've ever had. And it'll be unfortunate if instead of sticking to what he knew was right from the beginning, which is no H-1B visas, student Ricky, stop it. Student visas that once a student gets their diploma, they should go home, right? None of this. Right now, what they do is they get something called an OPT, and then they are able to stay until they can transfer that into another type of work visa. That's got to end. And there's a bunch of other temporary visa programs too, right? That bring in workers to do gardening work, workers to work in hotels. I mean, come on, all of this stuff can be done by Americans. And if you are finding that Americans don't want to do the job that you are saying you need done, so let's say it's garden work on your hotel, it's cleaning your hotel rooms out, it's picking the strawberries, I don't know, picking cherries, whatever else it is that we need, it's because you're not paying enough. You are now competing for that type of work. You're competing against places like McDonald's and Starbucks that'll pay $20 an hour for more comfortable work. So you're going to have to pay more than that if you want people to come and do the less comfortable work and make it worth it. And the answer is not, oh, okay, I should just be able to immigrate or bring in immigrants to do it, because again, the US is a nation. It's not an economic zone. It's not something where you can just let millions of people flood here and change it over time. The purpose of, if we have immigration, it's to get people to come here, to assimilate, to become Americans, to support our Constitution as written. And when I say, I'm very specific about that because I know so many people that immigrated here and they become citizens and they still do not support the Second Amendment. And I am tired of I don't like the idea that we're going to import millions of people and that they're going to come and try to take away my guns. I'm sorry, I'm not okay with that. And neither should you be. Like, our framers wrote a genius constitution, and I don't need people coming here from whatever country telling me how it needs to be changed because their home country was better on some issue. Okay, like if that was true, then go home. Your home country is calling. But I don't want people coming here and then telling me, or free speech should be limited, or we should be controlling misinformation or hate speech. Like, get out, go home. Go and deal with that in your home country. Stop bringing it here. The other piece is this, and maybe this is for me to get into it, is, again, what's the purpose of a country? And then what types of people do you want to bring to the country? So one, like I said, I think the purpose of the country is to allow your own people to thrive and to be able to make a living so they can have a family. I mean, obviously I'm gay and that's not an issue for me, but so you can have a family, so you can have a middle-class life at least, and that you have a comfortable life, you you can raise your children, and then they can have a better life than you, etc., etc. It should be about lifting up Americans over foreigners. The second piece is this, and that is, who should you let come into the country? Like I said, one requirement should be they support our Constitution as written. Another requirement, sorry, I got that dog. She sees that I am on the phone or I'm talking on the radio, and then she starts squeaking that toy. Two is, I think that we should make sure that they're not bigots. I talked about this a little bit last time, but a lot of immigrants come here and they are bigots. So they're bigots towards the standard one is they will literally come from their shithole country. I saw this from India a lot, and then they'll be racist against Black people in America. And you're like, your country. I have been to India. It is a shithole. Like, I mean, look, it's got charms, but it is a shithole. How dare you come here and be racist against Americans? Like, how ridiculous is that? And why would we allow people like that to come here? We should not be bringing in racists into our country. We should not bring in homophobes to our country. Like, if you live here and you don't support my lifestyle or whatever, and we have a disagreement, I don't care about that. If you're American, like, we can do that, it's fine. But I know that you're not going to come like kill me. But I don't want to import homophobes into the country and make it more dangerous for me to live my life. And there are cultures where they're still throwing gays off buildings, right? That's how they handle the gay problem that they have. I would prefer that we don't bring those people here, because I don't want to be thrown off a building, and I don't think that I should have to deal with that. So anyway, I think that's kind of that is where we need to think about immigration. It's not just, like I said, it's not just illegal immigration. That's one piece of this. It's also legal. And so as we go forward into 2025 and President Trump takes office in a couple of weeks, can't wait. That's something to watch, is that there's some people like Elon Musk who are going to want you to focus just on illegal immigration. There's some people like elected officials in Utah who will just want you to focus on criminal illegal aliens. That would be Governor Cox. But what you should be focused on is immigration as a whole, both legal and illegal, and getting a handle on all of it. It is about your future, and it's about your children's future. And so if you really love your children, you should be looking to make it so that they have the ability to have a better life than you, and not to have to compete with everybody in the world to be able to get a job or to be able to have a good living without everybody in the world, while being asked to go and like fight overseas in random countries and die so that, we can have freedom or whatever. So that's kind of my thinking on that. Okay. So I will post on X about what we'll do for next week, because I have to figure this out. I'll talk to my producer offline. Since the UPU, their event is next Monday, I just want to close by encouraging everyone to go sign up for it. Like Corinne said when she was on, it's a great event, and it is worth going to, especially if you want to get more involved in legislation and try to make Utah a better place. So I encourage everyone, go to their website, utahparentsunited.org, sign up for the event. And maybe I'll see you there next Monday. So anyway, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm gonna have to sign off a little early tonight, but we'll be back next week, and I'll post something online to figure out exactly how we'll do this, since that tour starts at 6:30. It might be an abbreviated show. Let me see. Maybe I could go there and just interview a few people while I sit in the Capitol or something like that too. Okay. Well, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And we will be back next week. If you have any tips or anything, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Are you still there? Hey, Dwayne.
I'm here. Sorry about that. I don't know why I had 6 o'clock on my schedule. You're 5.
Yeah, 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, I had to cut it short today because I have a hearing. But
well, that means you're working. Good job.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted right now. Hopefully, was that okay for a show? This one felt a little bit like.
That was fine. It was fine. When you show those images, you should make them full screen. You should expand those boxes. It was hard to read some of that stuff. I mean, you can see it, but it was hard for me to see. So
okay, good to know. I'll do that next time.
Yeah, what are you using, Canva or something? What are you using for that?
This is a Google Doc.
Oh, it was a Google Doc. Yeah, you can there's a plus sign on there that'll make it go big. You click the plus sign and it gets bigger and bigger.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll do that for next time. Okay, cool. So next week, do you have an idea what to do about this? Because
I'll tell you, I have a suggestion, okay? And that is take your phone and do some interviews.
Okay, so just do it while
it operates just fine from a phone. You got to just remember to keep it landscape instead of portrait. Okay.
Okay.
Sideways, but you can walk around and talk to people because I'm a big fan of UPU. Okay. And everything they're doing, well, they have some knuckleheads in there, but I mean, every organization does. So.
Okay, perfect. I will. I'll plan on doing that then, because that would actually be kind of fun.
You might want to. I don't know if you have a battery for your phone. When you go online and you're operating a video, it sucks up battery power, and hopefully you'll have a good enough connection, enough bandwidth.
Yeah, are we still live? I'm still live. That's actually really funny. Hey, everybody, sorry. I'm going to sign off now.